Okay, students, for this lecture we're going to begin talking about Chapter 4, which starts to cover Entity Framework. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the PowerPoint presentation and get started on a few of the high points here of this chapter. So again, Chapter 4 is how to develop a data-driven MVC web application. So we're going to be hooking up our MVC web app to a database here. Most of the stuff for this lecture will already be written. We're going to dive deeper into Entity Framework later on in the course. So this chapter is really just to cover exactly what everything means in the code, and we're going to walk through it step by step here and show you guys exactly what we mean by middleware, connection strings, and dependency injection, and getting our context set up, as well as other things that we'll get to here. So, excuse me. So first of all, the objectives for this chapter. Given some specifications for a multi-page web app, we want to store data in a database, code and test the app. We're going to put in some NuGet packages in our project for Entity Framework Core and its tools to a project. So we're going to go ahead and walk through that. Describe how a startup.cs file can read a connection string from a file. So that's just some of the things we're going to do in this chapter. You can read through the objectives if you'd like. Here's what the movie list app looks like. You can look through what the application looks like. But aside from that, what this video is going to cover is how to add these NuGet packages in our solution so we can work with Entity Framework Core in our project. So first and foremost, if we open up this movie list project, which I will post in our canvas, let me go ahead and open that up now. So if we go ahead and open up this movie list application, I'm going to go ahead and right click. I'm just going to open this up in VS Code just to show you quickly why I'm not using it right now. So right now, this movie list application, I'm going to go ahead and restore, click yes. This movie list application already has the NuGet packages installed. It's kind of already a finished product, which is why I'll step through it step by step in the next video. But if we look in the CS Proj folder, which is where all of the packages are installed, there it is, movie list CS Proj, we can see that we already have these package references to Entity Framework Core. So Entity Framework is the means that we're going to use to reach out to our database and grab records from it. You can see since we're using .NET Core 3.1, we're also using Entity Framework Core 3.1, and it's important to keep up with the version of Entity Framework Core to match the version of .NET Core we're using. That way we know that they're compatible with one another. This also uses extensions, logging, debug, and code generation design, so don't worry too much about that right now. This is what we're worried about here. So this is what we're trying to add in. As you can see, for this project, they're already added. So what I did, I'm gonna leave this up for now. I'm gonna go to Visual Studio where we have our future value application. I'm gonna go ahead and add the Entity Framework NuGet packages to this application, both in Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code, to take you through how you go about adding in those NuGet packages. So first and foremost, what is a NuGet package? So a NuGet package is it's just libraries of C# code that we want to add into our MVC project here to be able to add in different pieces of functionality. So in this case, we want to add in the functionality to work with Entity Framework, which is a framework to be able to map models from our database to our C# code. So if we look in this CS Proj file, let's see here. Might not be able to, I might need to go here. Edit project file. And we can see here that these two packages are here, these package references. So these pieces of code are here. the ability to debug and do some code generation design work, but we don't have the Entity Framework packages. And then to see which packages you have installed, you can actually come over here to the dependencies section of your MPC web app and expand that, and then go to packages, and you can see the packages that you have installed in your CS proj file. So your CS proj file essentially tells you all the packages you have installed. It reaches out to the NuGet repository on the web and finds NuGet packages with these names and the version, and then goes ahead and installs them on your local project here. So what we want to do is we want to right-click Packages, Manage NuGet Packages, and then that brings up the NuGet Package Manager where you can go ahead and install all of the NuGet packages that you'd like. So the ones that we want to install are the two Entity Framework ones. And as you can see at the top right-hand corner here, the package source is nuget.org. So it's going to go out to nuget.org and try to find NuGet packages with that particular name we're looking for. If you want to look for NuGet packages with from other URLs, or if you have NuGet packages that are sourced within maybe your own company, you can go ahead and click this little cog here, and then you can add in NuGet package locations from other places. So you can click this little add button here, and then you can see a package source. I want to call this package source a name, and then here's the URL to look for. I'm not going to look for package sources outside of NuGet, so I want to go ahead and cancel. Let's see if that actually canceled. Go ahead and click this cog. Okay, and it did, so that's not there anymore. So I only want to look in nuget.org, and you can see here Visual Studio gives you this API that it actually reaches out to. But essentially, it tiers them. It'll look here first. If it doesn't find it here, it'll look into your next one. If it doesn't find it there, it'll look in your next one, and it'll go on down the list. So it's in priority order. It's usually always best to look in nuget.org first, since that's where the majority of them will be kept. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this again. And we want to add in the NuGet packages for Entity Framework Core 3.1, as well as the tools to use Entity Framework. So I'm going to go and, as you can see, it defaults to installed. I don't want to go to installed though. I want to browse. And you can see when you browse it, it brings up a lot of the different common NuGet packages. So here's Newtonsoft JSON. Here's some dependency injection. Here's our Microsoft Entity Framework Core. That's the one we're looking for. And we're also looking for the tools version as well. This is Entity Framework, the old edition, so you can see it's Entity Framework 6. So this is the Entity Framework for .NET Framework. As you can see, it's 6.4.4. That's not the one we want though. We want Entity Framework Core. Another way to do that, we can type in Entity Framework Core, and you can see we get Entity Framework Core here, as well as the tools version down here at the bottom of the list. So when you click on the one that you want to install in Visual Studio, you can go ahead and click Install, and then it goes out to NuGet repository, and then installs not only the NuGet package as well as all of the dependencies that it takes in to run that NuGet package. So I'm going to click OK and Accept. And now you can see instead of install, it says uninstall here. And then there's also a green down arrow here, so the latest stable version is installed. And then secondly, I'm going to install this Entity Framework Tools. I'm going to click Install. It'll go out and reach out again. I'm going to accept to the NuGet repository. And then you should get a green arrow that shows it's now installed. So now, another way to tell that it's installed is you can go to Packages, and you should be able to see your Entity Framework Core and your Entity Framework Core Tools, which I do. And you can also come here to your CS proj file, and you can see that I have these Entity Framework Core and Entity Framework Core Tools installed in my CS proj file as well. You can see that there is a little asterisk here that's not saved, so if you go ahead and save it, and now you have those Entity Framework NuGet package is installed in Visual Studio. So now that it's installed here, what I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and uninstall it. I'm going to go do it in VS Code. So if you're using VS Code, keep watching this video, and we'll go over how to do this in VS Code. So I go ahead and uninstall it, see that it's no longer in my packages folder, and it's also no longer in my CSproj file. Okay, so now that that's all done, what I want to do is I'm going to close out of this movie list application. I'm going to go to my files. I'm going to go back to that project again. Rock. I'm just going to go ahead and do it in this Guitar Shop application. Let's go here, open in VS Code. Now this is a little bit more straightforward, but also not at the same time. So when you come into this CSproj file, you can see that it has these two NuGet packages. So what we can do is we want to figure out what we need to add to this CSproj file in order to get those two Entity Framework NuGet packages. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is add in a package reference to include and equals Microsoft.Entity Framework Core, and the version is 3.1.8, I believe, is the most recent. So this is one way we can do it. So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to save my CSproj file, and it says there's unresolved dependency, so I can restore. And then once I restored, it looks like it went out and downloaded that version of Entity Framework Core now. Okay, so that's one way to do it, is simply updating your CSproj file. It'll notice your proj file has another package reference that it doesn't have included yet. It'll go out to find it. So another thing we can do, so this is our first way we can add packages, is manipulating the CSproj file directly. Another way we can add packages to our solution is via the .NET CLI. So if we go to .NET here, -help, we can see that we can access some NuGet commands here. And then other things we can do is simply use the add keyword, add a package or a reference to a .NET project, which is what we want to do, which is kind of what we did here as well. This is just a way to do it via the CLI. So what we can do is we want to .NET add --help, and it'll give us some things we can do. I didn't put a space after add. So notice some commands we can do. So I did .NET add, so then after add we can do commands package. So we can add a package with the package name, so that adds a NuGet package reference to the project, or we can add a reference to another project. But what we want to do is actually to add the NuGet package reference to a package here. So we want to go out and have NuGet grab the most recent packages for Microsoft Entity Framework Core tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open this, and I'm going to say Microsoft Entity Framework Core tools version. So Microsoft.entityframeworkcore.tools. So that's what the name is. So I should be able to come here and say .NET add package let's say Microsoft.entityframework4.tools. So the version is usually optional, and if you don't include a version, it'll just download the most recent version. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter. Let's see if it did anything. It looks like it might have failed. Okay, so it couldn't find any project. So it tried to do it, but I needed to specify a project. And I was thinking that was going to happen, but I thought it might infer the project if there's only one. So let's go ahead and try it again. Let's do this. Add package Microsoft Entity Framework Core.tools. And then I should be able to give it a parameter of project. And that's Guitar Shop. So Guitar Shop. And then Guitar Shop.csproj. Specify one package reference to add. I thought I did. Package directory, the directory to restore packages to. Framework version. Let's go ahead and do .NET just to make sure I'm doing the right parameter here. .NET package add. See if I can ask for help there. .NET package help. Okay, let's go out to the internet then and see exactly what the parameter is I'm missing. .NET CLI add package. Add package command. So you see here the argument is project. .NET add. So it looks like the project and then the package. Okay. So let's first specify the project to add it to and then the package to add. Let's try .NET add. We want to add to Guitar Shop, and we want to add guitarshop.csproj, and we want to add the package Microsoft.entityframework4.tools. I believe I spelled everything correctly. Let's go ahead and hit enter and see if make sure I spelled everything correctly. And there it goes. Okay. So you see, when it succeeds, it should give you a little bit of information here. That it went out, reached out, got the package, wrote the assets to disk. Alright, so now it has the package. Another thing you could do, once you've included this asset, you can come to the terminal again. I'm going to go ahead and clear this terminal. And then once you clear the terminal, you can also do a .NET restore, which will go out and see the versions of all the NuGet packages and download the most recent version if it doesn't already have it. So I want to restore, and then when you restore, you usually should include the csproj file that to start from. So I'm going to say guitar shop csproj. And you see it determine the projects to restore, and then it restored those projects here. So that's a way to add your NuGet packages via VS Code as well as Visual Studio. So I hope this makes it easier for you guys to add your Entity Framework packages to your projects, and I'll see you in the next video.